So good afternoon, everyone, or if it's good morning for you or good evening. This is the High Touch Show. Now, I've Tian Teck beside me, but let me just explain, right? Why do you see something different today? So visually, a bit different because we do not have the High Touch Show, we do not have the nice banner, and we're using Zoom to record, in fact, and not StreamYard. The thing is, we were on time just now, and we were all ready to go on our normal high touch show. But I suppose it was my side because I keep getting kicked out of StreamYard. So it happens so often that we just couldn't go on. You see, in life, this is what happens, right? Things will just, I think life throws its challenges at you at any time. And usually at the most crucial time when you're about to start the show or when it's your most crucial moment, it happens. And there are times when you can overcome it with perseverance and you keep calm, you try to be creative and all that, and you can still go on. There are times when you see it seems that you cannot go on using the same method. So what do? Instead of abandoning our project, we got out of it and we're using another way to speak with you, to reach out to you. So Tian Teck, what do you have to say about today's experience?
Well, it was unfortunate because we wanted to go live, right? We eagerly wanted to go live. But since we can't do that because of some glitches on the internet or certain technical problems that we are facing today, and so we decided to, like you say, switch to another platform, and we're using Zoom. And this session is going to be a recorded session instead of a live session. But not to worry, because since it's a recorded session, we can do wonders. Something called post recording, right? And so after the recording, we'll put back all the necessary backdrops onto the video, and when we post it live and when you're watching it, you will actually see the backdrops as well.
Okay, I forgot that I have a master here, right? So I didn't think that I could do that. I won't know how to do it. So I'll leave it in your hands, all right, to put back all our visual, the visual aspects. Now, so this is the High Touch Show, and I would like to really begin again by explaining why high touch, right? So in case you are watching this for the first time, high touch is really a 360-degree system which heightens self-awareness. And I built the system during COVID, all right? That means under high touch, there are many, many components because during the pandemic, and I realize I'm speaking as though we are out of it. Okay, we're not really out of it, but during the pandemic, when everybody was suffering a lockdown, I think everybody was craving for high touch. And now we're free to travel in most countries, I would say, free to travel. So things are sort of getting back to normal. But still, high touch remains very important because the high, which is HI, stands for human interaction. And it reminds us to go back to the fundamentals when it comes to interacting with people. So whether you are interacting with someone virtually or you are actually face to face. Now, for example, if you can go to a conference and you start wanting to hug each other and all that, fine, if it's all right in your country, and if you feel that it's safe, but still just bring back to the fundamentals, nothing complicated. And of course, advanced techniques, advanced communication techniques can really help us connect and build rapport with the other person. So I'm the founder of the Arts Training and Consulting, and I help organizations build resilience, improve team synergy, achieve peak performance and memorable client engagement. And of course, during the endemic, every organization is really witnessing a period whereby they need to look at things differently. They need to work in a new way, right? So that is why I also help organizations navigate through challenging times and give them fresh perspectives on the learning and development scene. So I'm going to let Tian Teck introduce himself.
Okay, so now it's my turn. So what do I do? Maybe a little bit about the
Yes.
things I do, right? So I help individuals and organizations turn ideas into lasting impressions. And that's what I do. And that is what I do. 12 years ago, I met with a very challenging situation, a situation which led me to thinking about how to transform bad presentations into one that is high impact and engaging. And that was when I founded Sticky Spy. Sticky Spy is a presentation concept and also a training business of mine. And I've been doing this like since 12 years ago. Since then, I have been coaching individuals and organizations communicate with confidence, transforming boring presenters and presentations into one that is extremely high impact and engaging. And I'm enjoying doing that every day. Every time I met with a new student, a new client, a new person, an individual who wanted to learn how to make presentation better, I'm really eager to share with them my ideas on how to create high impact presentations. Okay? And so that they can also communicate with confidence and also infect other people that they talk with, that they communicate with the whole idea and the whole concept of being sticky. And that's why I also call my company name Sticky Spy, because a spy is a concept that or rather three things that you put together to make your communication sticky. Because when we communicate, we want to ensure that our idea sticks to the audience, sticks to the mind of the audience. And when it sticks longer, it will create that lasting impression, right? And that's what I'm in a mission to do, to help individuals and organizations turn their ideas into lasting impression. Okay, so
Wow.
so
I
what are we
always
going to
find
talk
Sticky
about
Spy.
in this session, Candice?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I was commenting that I find Sticky Spy such a cool name. All right. Now, last week, actually, we started off with, we speak about communicate in style, and we started to shed light on the visual style of communication. That means people who are more visual, right? So they need to see more colors, and they may be distracted if they're talking to you because they're looking at things that are happening elsewhere, they are attractive, that entices them, and so forth. Now, today we're going to turn to speak about the auditory style. So, what is the auditory style exactly? So, the auditory style of communication is that means you're relying more on listening, right? So, if I'm in a conference, let's say I'm listening to someone, I'm really listening to the words and all that. And whereas somebody might be looking at the slides, the graphs, I'm intensely listening to the person. And I will probably be someone who can copy notes like kind of word for word, right? I'm very good at doing that actually in school days and even in my younger days when I don't know, even now actually, I can copy notes quite fast. And when I remember things, I remember what the person said and sometimes even the exact words. Whereas somebody who recall a memory will be looking at the images, right? So if you're recalling a memory that maybe is a conversation with the other person, maybe not a very pleasant conversation. So usually you remember better, right? So if you're visual, you're more thinking about maybe the expression of the person, you know, and that scene. Auditory person will remember the words that the person said, how it really hurt you, and so forth. So we are really looking at the auditory style. But Tian Teck, in fact, when it comes to slides, right, we know that last week when we talk about visual style, then when you talk about the slides, impactful slides, it's all about standing out visually. If we are talking about auditory, is there any difference
Okay, so that is a challenging
in
question
this
for
case?
me because in this case, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
times when I communicate, I'm a visual person, right? I'm a visual person, and that's why I like to communicate with visual impact. And the things that I teach people is all about visual. And when you ask me about auditory, that means in a sense that if an auditorial person listening to a presentation, they most likely will not be too interested
Mm.
in what they see, right? And they would be more interested in what you say, what the presenter say. So in that case, I would think that storytelling is very important. If you have a good story to go along with the things that you show on your visual, then it will appeal to the auditory person, right? Because he or she will be very attentive, listening to your story first, and then figuring out how your story will connect with the imagery that you are showing on your slides. Right? But I think that will also make sense because in terms of good communication, good presentation, I also advise people to say that don't put too much things on your slide to make people read. You want people to briefly see the information, but be attentive in listening to you. Right? And I guess that will also work both for a visual person as well as a auditory person, because when you tell a good story, everybody will also be interested in, not only just the auditory person, right? A normal person who is maybe a more visual person, they take the cue from the slides, the visuals that you have shown, on your presentation slide, but then they would also need to listen to your story. And if your story is interesting enough, then it will also capture their attention beside the visual. So I guess they both work hand in hand together. And if you don't do both of them efficiently, right, then you are going to have a very good and powerful communication, towards your audience.
Yes, I was also thinking that there will be an overlap because even though, let's say, the auditory person will focus more on what the presenter says, but the images, the visual presentation will also help because both you need both actually to deliver the to deliver the messages. Then if we think about auditory style, all right, what the presenter can do is also to use more auditory words. And what are the auditory words? Let's just talk about, for example, if we're just casual meeting, right? Let's say we meet in a cafe, and then after that, we say goodbye, and I'll say, Tian Teck, so remember, give me a call, okay? Give me a call. So that is probably an auditory person. Now, it's just so short, just a little phrase. Whereas the visual person may say, see you next time. See you next time. And the kinesthetic person will be saying, keep in touch, okay? Keep in touch. So can you see just by using one word difference? See you, call me, give me a ring, okay? Give me a ring. That again is an auditory style. Or keep in touch. So, but of course, we do not straight away, this is an audit. In fact, if we assess our style of communication, we are able to use all means of communication. It's just that we are stronger in one particular aspect. So if I want to talk to the auditory person, let's say I'm talking to someone, let's say if I know you're auditory, I'll probably say, Didi, just let me explain to you, all right? Now, this is the concept and all that. Do you understand? I'll use words like explain. Do you understand? No visual words. I don't need. But if it's a visual person, I'll say, do you see what I mean? Yeah, so, and I will probably use more hand gestures around here. That's for visual. You probably can capture it very well. Even if it's on the phone, if I give you a message on the phone, you can capture it. But a visual person, if it's just on the phone, it's more difficult. But having said that, I just want to say a bit more before I lose my train of thought. And that is the auditory person will be very affected by the tone of voice. So that means when I speak with you, the tone of voice matters. It's not just the words and the vocabulary and you explaining the concept. I'm also very disturbed if your tone of voice is maybe showing some stress or some unhappiness. I'll be particularly sensitive about that. Over to you, Tian Teck.
Okay, so that is kind of interesting, right? That's kind of interesting because let's say the example that you gave, the first example about I'll call you or I'll see you later or keep in touch, they're actually the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They're actually the same thing but
Yes.
said in a different way to different type of person, having different communication style. And a lot of time we are
The choice of words,
unaware
they
of that.
different.
Right, correct. We are unaware of that when we casually speak. But of course, we will be aware of that if we are attending a class, learning this type of communication style. And I guess this is also important
Yes.
if you are in a organization, if you're a leader in a corporation, and you want to have a more effective ways to communicate with your employees. It is, I guess, important that you understand what kind of employees are they, right? Are they somebody, or rather, what kind of person are they? Are they someone who is more visual, more auditory, or more kinesthetic, right? And that would then depends on how you would be able to motivate them whenever you communicate with them. That will also mean that how you can make them understand better what you want them to do for you by using a different style or different words or tone when you speak with them. I get that's also that also applies when you do your presentation in your meeting, when you use slides. In slides, we also use words, right? We don't always just show pictures and diagrams. In slides there are also words. And if you are presenting or you want to communicate with a group of employees that most of them are auditory, then you would want to use a slightly different type of words on the slide, right? Something that would appeal more to the auditory person. But if majority of your employees that you're presenting to your knowledge, that most of them are visual, then you would use something visually more attractive. right? Visually higher impact, so that those audiences or those employees that is listening to you would then accept the information much better, easier, and quicker as you present during your meeting.
Right. So then, yes, so I just to add a bit more to that, like when you talk about leaders speaking to their staff. So that is why sometimes, right, we hear leaders saying that, wow, this team member is really great because whenever I tell him or her something, it just gets done. And then another person, well, I'm not that satisfied with the performance because this person doesn't seem to get the instructions. So sometimes it's just a matter of how we are communicating. Because if you're just, let's say, speaking very fast to that person without any visual, without giving a piece of paper to show that, to show anything about this project, you didn't have your slides, and you're just talking to the person, then the person can't get it. The person will miss a lot of points. But if you're telling an auditory person, then probably most of the points will be captured. And it even has nothing to do with the person's capability in that sense. So if we talk about the style of communication, it is just so essential. It's like fundamental. I'm thinking about what you say about the slide and all that. And in fact, I think a lot of people will ask, so how? Because basically, even my own team members, I may not know exactly whether they are more visual, more auditory, unless I do an assessment. Or after many rounds of, trial and error, I finally realize that, oh, whenever I have something visual or I write out something, it is more effective. So if I enter a room and I present to my clients and there are different people there, so how is first, make sure your slides are really great. All right, your slides are really impactful. Then the next thing you do, even if you say that, wow, that would be a challenge, what kind of words that I have to use, then at least make sure that when you speak, your tone of voice, all right, you speak with conviction. This is a simpler way. You speak with conviction. You make sure that you explain very clearly. You make sure that you're very structured in the way you explain. So you can have fun pictures there, on your slides, and it's a great tool. But when you speak, it's still structured and all that. Then you kind of cover it at least. Of course, uh, if you want to be even better, then, oh, all right, the choice of words. So it's not impossible. So generally you can take note of all these.
Yeah, actually, it's true because
That's what I want
these
to
are the
say.
skills, these are the communication skills that all leaders should have, managers should have, people who are presenting should have, in terms of communicating or presenting with confidence. And so, I guess the first one thing that if you want to take away from all this thing about how can you communicate effectively and how can you present effectively, the one thing that is important is that you must show confidence in yourself, or you must be able to show your audience that you are confident when you are speaking, confident, and you have this conviction. You cannot be like kind of a timid, as you present, right? Sorry, my headphone just dropped. My earpiece. Okay, so you need to be confident. Confident is very important, when you present, when you communicate, because if you do not show confidence, people will not take you seriously. If you are not, you don't do not show conviction, people will not take you seriously. Right? And so as a leader, if you are communicating, if you are presenting, the first thing that is very important is that you must show confidence. Right? even though if you're not confident, you also need to pretend that you're confident, right? And that was a key thing. And of course, being confident will also means that you need to know your context. You need to know the subject of what you're talking about, right? And that boils down to another thing that is very important. Before you present, before you communicate, before you step into the meeting, make sure that you are prepared. Make sure that you do your homework. And if you are not a very good or not a very natural presenter, you need to rehearse. Many people think that, oh, I just go there and I'll just talk. I don't have to rehearse. But that's not true. Right? Your audience can see that whether you are confident or not through the way you speak. And if you are not somebody who is generally confident, rehearsing will actually get you there quicker, will actually step up your confidence level, during the presentation.
Right. So what I want to say is also that yes, so rehearsing is a good thing. Having that confidence is also a good thing. Um, However, some people may take it that, wow, once I step into the zone, I really need to be like out there. It's all about performance, right? So, and they look for kind of a stage presence in the sense of a performance kind of, presentation. And that will throw other people off because like, wow, I'm not really like that. So does it mean I cannot present? So I just want to encourage people that, if you have the conviction, you believe in what you say, right? Therefore, you'll be able to communicate it from your heart with confidence, and people will resonate with you. Do you think so, Tian Teck?
Yeah, definitely. You know, um, Many people that I spoke with, yeah, I speak with all the students and clients who actually attended my class, and some of them try to be somebody when they present, right? They want to use a certain language. They want to pretend to be somebody. I guess when you do that, then you are not yourself. And if you are not yourself, then you will find that it's very difficult for you to keep on going that way. You might be able to do it for, the first half of the presentation, the first half of the session, and then after that, you lost touch, and then sometimes maybe you get tired, you forget about it. So I think the most important thing is that whatever you do, you must be confident, you must be comfortable yourself, and it has to be your own style. You can change your style as you go on, right? As you go on, sometimes you do a recording and you find that, oh, actually I don't like the way I speak. What can I do? Well, yeah, you can change it, but it has to be something gradual. You can change it to make sure that you practice certain ways so that you are very natural in doing that. For example, if you are not somebody who can tell a joke, don't try to tell a joke, because if you try to tell a joke, people might not laugh because you might not get the punch. So there are many certain technique that how do you tell the joke kind of thing, right? But if you're not good at it, then maybe not do it at the beginning. You can practice it. You can try and go for training and practice it until you are good at it. Then you can include that into your presentation. Right? And that is something that I find that it is important to be yourself, so that you are natural, so that people know that, oh, you are actually speaking from the heart.
Right. So you know what? Do you want to know? You see, if many people are visual, right? But yet, mm, the auditory style is less talked about, so to speak. And it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I can tell you, one secret, or not a secret, since we're going to post this, is that I I can say I was a very, very auditory person. So meaning that when I did the assessment, my score was particularly high in auditory. And I know that my weakness was in fact visual. So I'm that kind of person, if you tell me, okay, close your eyes and imagine, I will have no images in my mind, you know. So people who are visual will find it very strange, because the moment they think of something, the image will come. Close your eyes, imagine the image will come. And I really struggled with that, because when I close my eyes, I just can't see anything. It also is like, what? I have no image, right? And I think in the previous sessions where I spoke about, a non-visual person, let's say we go in and have a meeting, let's say I have a meeting with you, and next thing when I reach home, you ask me, what did Tian Teck wear? What color was his shirt? I may not even realize, because I was so focused on our speech, the way we were talking, the content, and I may not even see that beside you there's a bottle or what. I will not see, right? But now I find myself really balanced. I've done different sorts of tests, and sometimes I just suddenly take out my emails and everything, and I start to read. I'm really balanced, and now I can take notice of the visual side of it. Okay, so it can be practiced. So if a person wants to develop the auditory sense, then just use more. For example, if you are, let's say, you go out walking along Orchard Road, right? So usually you're just walking, thinking about the next destination, or looking at the phone and whatever, a lot of thoughts in your mind, or looking at people, what they wear, looking at the birds and the pigeons and all that. But you suddenly remind yourself to listen. So when you're walking, listen to the noise around you. Let that all this noise take center stage. The crows, very loud, right, in Orchard Road. So uh, you start to pay attention to this, right? Or even at home, you are sitting down reading a book, have your earphones, and just suddenly stop, be mindful about the music itself. So if you keep doing this, you are going to improve on the auditory sense. Anything to add here?
Uh, I'm not quite sure what to add on to that. Yeah. So you're talking about,
Are you
as
are
you
you are you strong in your auditory or not? Do you know?
am I what?
Strong in your auditory sense, because you kind of conclude that, of course, right, you are visual, but are you also strong in your auditory
Okay.
sense?
I'm not quite sure
Are
because
you disturbed by noise?
okay, I'm actually not disturbed by noise. Kind of, it can be noisy around
Okay.
and I don't care. In my room, in my studio, right? In my studio where I do my work, upstairs, can be construction. Somebody can be pulling the chair and making a lot of noise, screeching around, and I can actually ignore that. A lot of time, those things doesn't bother me, right? I can just let it go. But my daughter is different. My daughter will be very sensitive with those
Mm,
noises. Oh my god, I cannot concentrate. Why is those people jumping around, walking so loudly on the floor and stamping on the floor and things like that? But for me, is that, oh, I mean, that is just something normal.
mm,
And I kind of accepted it, and I can tell myself to ignore it. And so, in that sense,
right.
I'm not that sensitive to those sounds, right? And also, if I'm
Okay.
in a call and
So already we know
sometimes,
your daughter is sorry. Yeah.
So if I'm in a call and sometimes outside there are noises outside, to me it can be distracting, but it doesn't really distract me that much because I can kind of cut it off, right, and becomes my subconscious. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah, what I was saying is that we can already see that your daughter is more auditory, stronger in the auditory sense, right? But that doesn't mean she's not visual also, because sometimes, as I said, we can be everything. It's just the percentage only and the focus. Mm.
Right, right. So for you, you were saying that you
Right.
are
So,
more of a auditory person. Is that right? Yeah.
yes.
And you don't pay too much attention on visually how things looks like. As long as the things are there, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look nice.
Oh, no, no, no. That's not true. Okay. Yeah, because that doesn't mean also that the auditory person doesn't look for aesthetics, because that depends. That's another part of it. And it's also sometimes we are affected by our job. For example, because I worked many years in my company whereby I need to pay attention to all the details. I was super sharp and up to today. All right. Imagine, I remember my team members, they were often shocked that I can see that the line very small, like one space more over here. And I remember one time the printer printed some booklets. All right, he did a trial run, and then I said that it's not, and the printer was arguing with me. But then after that, he took a ruler and they said, "Oh yeah." And I went to the department store, the ground floor where you have all the cosmetics counter, right? And their logo, I could see that it's tilted. Then I'm thinking, how come nobody noticed it? So I was really sharp, but only when it comes to work, that means work context. But when I go home, I don't know if you have changed, but I used to go to my sister's house and she was pretty upset with me because she would have like displayed all her New Year, all those, what is it, calligraphy or decorations, and
Mm-hmm.
not even notice. So on one side of a wall she has this red, um what do you call it, these decorations, and I wouldn't even see. And if I, let's say, I'm so used to my own house, but if you, let's say, just put the clock somewhere else, I may not notice unless
Mm.
maybe after you. And so it takes practice. So at work I was okay, but that was the training or the kind of yes. So in work I was all right because those are necessary, and I've been doing it for years. But once I'm outside work context, then I go back to my original self.
So I was saying that I guess that is what you call
Mm-mm.
selectively
Yes,
accepting information that you want, and
I
and
think we kind of
and
go into a different mode.
and you kind of filter out all those information that you felt that, oh, there's something that will bother me. I really don't want to know about it. And that's why sometimes you walk through certain things. If there are changes on the wall, there are certain things that was put on the wall or taken off the wall, you kind of never notice it. And this is also
Yeah.
one thing that
So
that
yeah,
to
my
me,
natural stuff.
yeah, to me also happen. Sometimes my wife will say that, well, I actually wanted you to throw away the rubbish, right? And that's why she put the rubbish bag just in front of the main door, obstructing the way that I would go out, and will hopefully that I notice that bag, and on my way out I
And
will
you
take it
didn't
and throw it
see it.
away. Yeah. But to me, it's just if I want to go out, I just go out, right? I open the gate, open the door, I went out, and I never noticed there was a bag on the floor in front of me. You know? And that is what happened.
Wow, this is really selective because that
Yeah.
part of housework, you know. Yes, yes. So in fact, we can change so that we can be more flex, and we really can use the different style of communication as needed. And that is why I really train myself. That means when I go into a meeting, I make sure the first thing I see is the clothes the person is wearing, and I try to remember the color. Then I talk. Then when I come out, I recall, oh yeah, yes, striped dark blue, right? That's what Tian Teck is wearing. So it can be trained, and I'm very happy to say it can be trained. And you find that style of communication, which will really help.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I guess we have been speaking for quite some time now, right? It's almost like,
Yes,
is it almost an hour already?
an
45
hour.
minutes?
Okay, so I think it's time to wrap up, and next week we are going to talk about another communication style. So we did the visual, we did the auditory, so you know what next week is, and we look forward to doing live again. Let
Yep.
me do all I can to make sure that it wouldn't happen. Now, Katie, you want to show something, right?
Yeah, let me just share my screen. So just in case that you guys want to keep in touch with us, you could always connect with us. And so let me just share this screen. I hope everybody can see that. Okay, so great. So we'll see you again next week,
All right.
live at 4:30 next Thursday.
Yes.
And hopefully our internet is all going to be okay and no technical glitch, and we can actually do live again. Right?
It will be okay. Yes.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.